Pros, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's. Get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus, save $80 on the DeWalt 20-volt Max 2-tool combo kit. Now just $169. And at the Lowe's Pro Desk, bring us your materials list and get a quote in minutes. Handwritten, a photo, or even a sticky note is all you need. Keep your jobs moving faster and on budget at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Looking for these better days.
It is Tuesday, July 7th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. Disappointment for the U.S. men's national team as they are ousted from the World Cup in the round of 16. Plus, NBA Summer League action is underway. Mackenzie Rivers joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Mac, we start with the World Cup. The United States outclassed, outplayed, and outgunned by Belgium, losing 4-1 last night, getting knocked out in the round of 16. Now, before the tournament started, if I told you the United States was going to get eliminated in the round of 16, you probably would have said that's a successful result, right? I mean, that was what was, I guess, the short favorite price to happen, right? I guess you could have got a little plus money on it, but the U.S. was not expected before the tournament to advance to the quarterfinal, but I think after the way that they played in the group stage, and then especially after looking at how the bracket played out, the bar was risen and maybe unfairly risen for the U.S. What do you think?
Yeah, the hype machine, I think, for all three of the North American teams kind of got off to a crazy start. Been talking to a few Canadians in that area, British Columbia to be exact. And once they won a couple games, it was like, all right, wow, we're going to win the World Cup. But to be realistic, as we like to do on this show, it was 86 years ago when the USA did better than making it to the round of 16. Oh, I'm sorry, except for 2002. They made the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
But all right, over the last 86 years, one time when we were in Japan and Korea, did we make it past the round of 16? It's a very good result. It's better than our average result. And I got to say, though, you're kind of burying the lead, especially from my perspective. After they were up 2-0 in the group stage, I said, hey, you can bet plus 160 that they're going to go out in the round of 16. I think they're very likely to beat, I guessed it was going to be Bosnia. I got lucky with that one. Very likely to beat that first team, because with the expanded field of 48, the round of 32 was not the typical World Cup knockout competition. And we were better than that. And we have, maybe in years past, we wouldn't be a clear favorite to get to the round of 16. Here we were, but we were clearly big underdogs to make it past this round, especially when we got Belgium. That was just a bad matchup. They're a top 10 world team.
Yeah, but if you looked at the market, though, I mean, the market had the United States as a slight favorite to advance because of everyone betting on the U.S., because the bar was risen. And Mexico, you mentioned the hype machine. It just got too far, and the expectations got just too unfair for this team. This is the same team that lost to Belgium 5-2 in a pre-World Cup friendly in Atlanta, and it looked last night like they had that game in the back of their heads. They played tentatively. They were hesitant on a lot of balls. They should have never allowed the first goal to go in, because there was 3 U.S. defenders just standing there watching the play, and everyone was kind of just like, someone else is going to go get this 50-50 ball, and no one did. And then when they got the equalizer on the free kick, which was just ridiculous by Tillman once again, right? Lucky bounce off the defender. But to allow a goal, like literally 2 minutes later, not even, I think sucked the life out of the U.S. squad. And then really the breakdown by Matt Freese and allowing that goal to make it 3-1. I think at that point,
one of the worst goalie gaffes you're going to see.
I think at that point, the U.S. players just knew that they weren't going to come back. I was arguing, and I took some heat on Twitter last night, but like, I was just sharing my thoughts. Like, yes, I know soccer. Okay. Like, my brother played at an extremely high level, was on the track, was on the U.S. Olympic track, and and everything, like the ODP Olympic Development Program. In the early days of the MLS, had runs there. I know the game, but it frustrates me to no end when I see the ball not going towards the net. And I'm sorry, you're down 3-1. You're not gonna tie the game if you don't try and shoot the ball, right? And I get it. Like, Belgium's defense was great. They weren't allowing any lanes through. If you try and shoot it, it's going to get blocked. It's going to go out of bounds. You're not going to get another opportunity. Like, you have to really be perfect with your passes and your runs. But the U.S. was not perfect with their passes. They turned the ball over so many times. Christian Pulisic had 11 turnovers in his 40-somewhat minutes, and then just seeing the lack of aggression to go towards the net really bothered me. And I said, hey, you know how you can guarantee not scoring any goals? If you never shoot the ball at the opponent's net.
Yeah, and I think it was Christian Pulisic. I might be wrong on that, but it was one player that had a kind of decision to make. And when they chose the U.S., they were saying, well, they play like Spain, and Spain is, a beautiful tiki-taka style of football. However, if you look at what the U.S. is, it's not the most technical group of guys. It's maybe some of the most athletic teams we can put together. We're going to have a great goalie. We're going to have a lot of strengths, but I think playing like Spain was probably a bad decision that was made, years ago in terms of forming the team's style. We're not going to pass our way through. We're going to have long runs. We're going to make athletic plays. We're going to be Americans. Americans don't do anything tentatively, and I think that was the wrong approach. It worked as long as it worked. I'm surprised to hear that they were favorites. I did not know that. I saw that Mexico flipped a favorite against England, which is ridiculous. Like, just from the talent on the field, literally looks like a $500 million team if you go by their club salaries versus a $50 million team. Like, it's not close. And Belgium isn't quite that extreme, but they should have been favorites here on home turf or not.
Yeah, the U.S. on the three-way line, plus 155, Belgium plus 188, and the draw plus 225. So the U.S. a slight favorite when the match went off last night. And, well, now the World Cup run is over. And I know that, the announcers were saying, and bless their hearts, that, hey, this does not have to be the last soccer match you watch. Like, we still have exciting action here at the World Cup. And by the way, you can, and by the way, you can support your local MLS squad. Like, it's
and your local AYSO crowd. Let's get over there, bring some orange slices. Let's keep it going. It's
not going to happen. You know who's going to continue to watch this World Cup? The international fans, the people here in the United States that have allegiances to other countries, and us sports bettors that are going to continue to bet on this event.
Right.
But the average fan that was flooding Twitter with all the excitement for the U.S. national team, that's it. We'll see you again in 4 years and see what happens.
We're going to see a nice France-Argentina final, and probably other than that, the average fan is going to tune out.
Yeah. Speaking of Argentina, they are in action today against Egypt. Up on FanDuel right now, you're looking at the odds to advance. You have Argentina minus 800, Egypt plus 520. I think Mo Salah is very feels disrespected by those odds. And then the other match is Switzerland against Colombia, where Colombia minus 164 to advance, Switzerland plus 134. Do you see a chance for Egypt to upset Argentina?
I absolutely do. Argentina is not this dynamo. Like, if you look at who they've played, they had probably the easiest group. And I know Messi scored 6 goals, and I'm willing to listen to an argument that he's the greatest of all time. I'll still have Zidane and some other midfielders above him, but Iniesta for one. But he's definitely proven he's like LeBron or Kareem before him, had a career as far as longevity that's unlike anything we've ever seen before. But if you ask the average hardcore soccer fan 2 months ago or last month, who's the better player right now, Mo Salah or Lionel Messi, they'd be like, well, Lionel Messi plays in America because he's about to retire. Mo Salah is still maybe the best player in England, along with Haaland in the EPL. It's not that huge talent gap like it was with England and Mexico. Minus 800, I think, is ridiculous. They almost lost to Capo Verde, probably the 200th best team in the world. It could happen. Maybe that was a wake-up call and they'll play better. But I don't think it's an 80% or 90% shot that Argentina advances here.
So Leo Messi is tied with Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland with 7 goals in the race for the Golden Boot. But Kylian Mbappe is a plus, he's an even money favorite. Leo Messi, your second favorite, up on FanDuel at plus 165. And then Haaland is plus 700. Harry Kane is 10-1. He has 1 goal shy with 6. And we know that England will face Norway, so one of those teams will get eliminated. But Argentina has a game in hand. So Messi has one extra game to play. However, France is the favorite to win the tournament. So if all goes according to the odds, France would play a quarterfinal match, a semifinal match, and a final match. Will Messi have the same opportunity? What bet are you making right now, Mbappe or Messi to win the Golden Boot?
That's a good breakdown. I think if you look at projected games, Argentina's probably like a half game below France. So Mbappe would be the favorite that way. But I think you're missing a key part here, and that's the tiebreaker, which is 2 assists to Messi. I think doesn't have an assist. So there's many scenarios where they end up with the same goals, and then the Golden Boot goes to the guy with the more assists. Mbappe would probably edge him on that way. So I think Mbappe at even money is probably the best bet on the board, but it's probably well priced.
Wow, that's an incredible breakdown by you, Mackenzie, as something that didn't even go into my mind. Now, I'm going to give you another option here. I think Harry Kane at 10-1 is worth a look, because I do expect England to get by Norway. And when I'm looking at the futures board here, and I see France plus 175 up on FanDuel, Spain plus 340, Argentina plus 450, and England plus 500. I think England plus 500 is a decent bet to win this World Cup. I thought they faced their challenges against Mexico. To overcome Mexico in Estadio Azteca was huge. I think they can get by Norway, and then if they have to match up with Argentina in a semifinal, I think they can win that match. And then you're talking about England, France possibly in the final. I'll sign up for that. Give me 5-1 on England to lift the trophy. And at 10-1, Harry Kane, if they continue to play the games, and we know the big thing here is Kane takes all the penalties, right? Same as Mbappe as well, right?
Also has a couple of assists.
That's another factor. I think Harry Kane at 10-1, along with England at 5-1 to lift the trophy, are pretty fun looks.
I think they are. I think if you look at the pre-tournament odds, Spain was the favorite and France was second favorite.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure what has happened to change it up that much. And by the way, England was right there with those two teams. For Argentina to get this huge betting surge, I think it's because people love Lionel Messi, and he scored some ridiculous goals in the group stage, and he is Lionel Messi. But I don't think Argentina has proven anything, especially after their last game, that they're much better than what we thought pre-tournament. England, I think, has proven to be as good as we thought pre-tournament, which was a top 3 or 4 favorite. So I think England could get there. I like their chances against Norway. And did you know that England won the War of 1812? Nobody ever says that. We were like trying to take over Canada. I thought we just like kicked them out of Maine, but no, England apparently had a lot of wins in that war. And I think on the 250th anniversary, for them to get one back, I wouldn't be shocked if they did it on our turf. Wouldn't want to see it, but they got some hatchets to bury themselves.
But what was the what was the French and English? Was that the 100 Years' War? Am I remembering that?
Yeah, the 100 Years' War, France and England.
Yeah,
I think that was pretty much a draw. I'd have to look back at the game logs for that.
All right. All right, that'll wrap up our World Cup coverage for this episode of Better Day. Let's transition to hoops, because Mackenzie, Summer League action is underway. Plus, we have to get your thoughts on the big moves that went down a week ago.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
All right, let's talk some NBA here, Mackenzie. Summer League action going on in progress. The California Classic wrapping up. The Salt Lake City Summer League wrapping up. And coming up on Thursday, it will be, that's right, the Vegas Summer League. We're going to have a lot of fun betting on the Vegas Summer League. As far as like what you're focused on during Summer League action, what are you looking for? Are you looking for specific players and how they perform, and maybe that changes your opinion on like rookie of the year bets? Or are you looking for how teams gel together, and does that affect like your win total bets? What are you focused on when it comes to summer league action? And yeah, I know we've had some games already, like I said, California Classic and Salt Lake City, but really the big action is coming here in Vegas.
I think you want to identify like the sixth best, seventh best player on a team. Like Jaime Jaquez had a big year, Gigi Jackson had a big year, and I think one way to look at it is how for rookies, like they should play themselves out. If you're as good as you say, if you're Wemby, if you're Cooper Flag, you should play 1 or 2 games and impress enough that you don't play anymore because they are preserving you. So that kind of is a flash in the pan as part of the tournament. But the thing to watch all the way through the championship is that like seventh man that is motivated to make a roster, and then he can kind of make a jump once the regular season starts. So nothing's going to move teams more than a half point. But you do see around the edges, maybe some, stars in the making, or rotation players in the making.
Sure. Rookie of the year market, we've been talking about that ever since the draft, where it's not the number 1 overall pick, AJ Dybantsa, as the favorite. Cameron Boozer was the favorite. Well, Mackenzie, after Darren Peterson's summer league debut, where he scored 28 points, right? Darren Peterson up on FanDuel is now your new favorite to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. He is plus 270, Boozer plus 300, Dybantsa plus 430, Darius Acuff plus 470. Do you agree with the market moving after one summer league game?
Well, Washington has a lot of mouths to feed, especially if Anthony Davis is retained. So it kind of makes sense. I mean, maybe this wasn't so much the one game, but just reanalyzing the market. The Jazz have some stuff that they're interested in, but Darren Peterson very easily could get like 20 shots a game on this team. And Bill Self said he was the most talented player he ever coached, and he coached Andrew Wiggins, he coached Joel Embiid. He could have just been saying that pre-draft, or maybe Darren Peterson really did have some sort of illness in college that kept him back, and he is this talented. So I think it's worth a flyer as a plus money favorite.
Yeah, I think he's going to have the opportunity to score more than the other guys for sure. Health could be a concern if there was really something, if the creatine that he was taking made him cramp up, whatever. I talked about a bet that I kind of liked on the board after watching his first summer league game, and that was Yaxel Lendeborg at 25-1, because I actually think there's a chance that he starts on this Warriors team in the regular season.
Well, if they're not getting Anthony Davis, and Draymond Green is a shell of his former self, in my opinion, he hasn't signed a new deal. He opted out of his deal. So, yeah, he could play serious minutes. Champion, people like that. And Con Knippel didn't end up winning it. But, I mean, a lot of that was because of his last game where he had a really bad play-in game, which Bill Simmons and others said it did affect their vote. But I think the drumbeat of him going over as someone as famous as Cooper Flag was because we want to see winning. We want to see someone being part of something that matters. I think the league generally with voting is going in that direction.
Yeah, and imagine the Warriors have a resurgent year, right? And find themselves not in a play-in, but in the playoffs. And maybe, that could be the reason why a guy like Lendeborg comes through. 25-1, I think there are worse bets that you can make. I've been talking a lot, Mac, about the big trades in the NBA. I've shared my thoughts about Jaylen Brown, the swap for Paul George, who's going to win more games, who has the higher ceiling, whether it is the Sixers or the Celtics. You haven't had a chance to share your thoughts here with the audience. What did you make of the Jaylen Brown trade, the decisions by Brad Stevens and the Celtics organization here?
Much like the Minnesota trade where they got rid of Karl-Anthony Towns and brought in Julius Randle, I'm not going to sit here and say they got better. I'm not going to say Paul George is better than Jaylen Brown. But I will say I completely understand how you don't want to pay $66 million to a guy who my favorite analytics, like estimated plus minus, say is not a top 30 player. And I think you don't want to take those numbers as gospel, but I think you want to consider those numbers seriously. And I've heard every single person, from Bill Simmons to Nate Duncan to Michael Wilbon, have the exact same opinion, which is probably the best front office team we've seen in the last 10 years has suddenly just completely lost their minds and made this completely ridiculous trade. And they could have asked any other team to take on Jaylen Brown and they would have gotten a lot more. No, why can't we actually say, all right, this is a new data point. Jaylen Brown Kendrick Perkins will say he's a top 10 player. I never believed so. The numbers don't say so. Maybe they actually know him better than we do, or at least as good. And I know he won finals championship. He won the NBA Finals championship, MVP, won the Eastern Conference Finals champions, MVP. We said on this show at that time that was incorrect. That was not because he was the most valuable player. That was because people don't like Jason Tatum. They think he's kind of soft and kind of insert your urban diss here, but Jaylen Brown is more likable. He seems like smarter and sharper, and maybe a better like gentleman to go out on the town with. But he's just not a better basketball player. He doesn't bring value. He's not a great defender. He's an average one. He's not a great scorer. He's just a guy that can take a lot of shots, and that's what the numbers tease out. And people say like, "Oh, you got to look at the eye test." Okay, well, if your eyes were as good as analyzing thousands of possessions, then maybe you would come to the same conclusion. That the reason why the Celtics were as good or better when Jaylen Brown was not on the court wasn't because they had the best bench of all time. It was because they had other options to score that were as good and better defensive options across the board, so that he doesn't really add that much value. And here's the tiebreaker to me. Everyone that says the Celtics made the worst trade of all time says that for 20 minutes of their podcast. And then they spend 5 minutes saying the Sixers are, they're pretty good. Joel Embiid's got to stay healthy. Like, no one's picking them to win the East. No one's picking them to win the championship. If Jaylen Brown was a top 10 player, like Kendrick Perkins said, and was just thrown into a team that was in the conference semifinals last year, or quarterfinals or whatever, second round, if he was a top 10 player and you just plugged him in, then they would be a championship favorite. He's not. They're not. So I think people have to, instead of saying, wow, I can't believe the smartest front office suddenly became dumb, people should eat a little humble pie and be like, wow, I think Jaylen Brown was a little bit better than I thought. Zach Lowe said he thinks the worst possible thing you could say is that he's like a top 18 player in the league. I think that's closed off thinking. I think the fact that the numbers say he's the 50th best player, I think there's a chance he's the 30th best player, and he just happens to be a guy that can produce a lot of volume, like Paolo Banchero, that doesn't actually move the needle that much. If you give a guy has league average efficiency and give him every single possession, he'll score 100 points a game, and your offense will be completely average by definition. It's just a different way to look at how you produce value in the NBA. And there's another guy like this, a guy that Colin Cowherd had in his top 5, who everybody says is like the guy you would want to build around, that I just don't think the numbers tell you that. And that's Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, I know he made the conference finals, but if you look at those playoff runs, it was a lot more because of the defense. Guys like Rudy Gobert, guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, and even Julius Randle being able to stop Jokic as big men, than it was because Anthony Edwards went off. He's maybe the most interesting player in the league, but he doesn't move the needle in the same way. And I think everyone wants to say, we care about analytics, and those that don't care about analytics are dumb and they're behind. But I'm going to not care about analytics when it doesn't prove the point that I want to make the narrative point for. So I've gotten my my rant out of the way. But I thought I felt like a crazy person. Every single show I turned on had the exact same opinion, and I'm like, nobody wants to take a beat here. I just think he's a little bit overrated.
Okay, all right. Good thoughts on Jaylen Brown. I saw that there was like we talked about the futures market, and there's obviously been movement on the team to win the Eastern Conference, well, in the finals as well. But there's been movement where the Celtics dropped down and the Sixers rose up, but now that's kind of flattened a little bit here as the Celtics are the 4th favorite to win the NBA title up on FanDuel plus 1,400 behind the Knicks, Thunder, and the Spurs. I start to think about... And
the Sixers are not a minus 300 favorite to win the East, even though they added a top 10 player in Jaylen Brown. What are the Sixers? They're still behind the Celtics, right?
Yes, still behind the Celtics and the Knicks. Yes.
Somebody's... I mean, what about the Heat? Are they behind? They got to be behind the Heat too, right?
Yep. Let's see. Let's see. East...
Case in point, as they say.
Case in point, Mackenzie Rivers. I was thinking about, though, where the value lies in the futures market. And I think that the value actually lies in the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference, because LeBron James is going to Cleveland, right? Like,
I think so.
all the prediction markets have LeBron James like going to Cleveland. We saw that whole Rich Paul, Max Kellerman thing, right? Like LeBron's going to Cleveland, and it was plus 850. Now it's plus 750 on FanDuel for the Cavs to win the Eastern Conference. When the announcement comes that LeBron is signing with Cleveland, don't you agree that maybe it doesn't automatically like make them the favorites because like you don't think that LeBron has that value on the floor, but don't you agree that plus 750 number is gone?
Yes, I think that's a good way to put it, because there's two things when you're picking a number. I think this is going to happen more than the market does, or I think the market's going to change their opinion drastically once they come to the conclusions that I've made. And I think you're right. I didn't know the prediction market odds, but reading, the reports and the tea leaves, I think the Warriors are out for all intensive purposes. And I think the Cavs were the second option or the first option the whole time. So when you look at that top five, that starting five: Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, LeBron, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, those are five all-star caliber players. Maybe not in LeBron's case, in my opinion, but most people don't think so. So when they see five all-stars trotted out week one, they're going to be game one already in football mode. They're going to be right there with the other favorites. I think they probably make a conference final, and I think it's close. I think they could win it, but you probably will have plenty of times to get, the other teams. And if you have plus 750 in the Cavs in your portfolio, you'll be looking good.
Good stuff, Mac. Let's shift gears. We get into Major League Baseball now. For the latest on Major League Baseball, we turn it over to our very own baseball analyst, Colby Marchio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite 5 minutes of fun. Colby Marchio here, Colby M. Bets, wherever you need to find me. Let's dive into the baseball chatter because, one, Junior Caminero is still going at it, still going strong. On the complete other side, the New York Yankees are still frozen solid. The Yankees' last 6 games have a 42 WRC plus. Just a few days ago, their last 6 games, they had a singular WRC plus. Yes, I am saying just a one. Uno. You know the rest of the languages. Last 12 games, just a 49 WRC plus. I don't know why anyone isn't just auto playing the dog if the Yankees are the favorite in any game they're playing going forward, because they're a corpse. I'm not really a money line bettor in baseball, but there's tremendous value in fading the New York Yankees right now. I as a fan, I don't like the lineup. Ben Rice is getting a ton of criticism, but also what's around him outside of Cody Bellinger. I don't think there's any protection around him. Jazz Chisholm is on another planet most days. The rotation's fine, but how fine is it when they have to be nearly perfect because the offense has a 42 WRC plus? I don't think it turns around until Aaron Judge comes back, and I don't think that's anytime soon. Shows the amount of impact he has. And he is always going to be my most disrespected athlete in sports. And there's no bias there because I don't have bias when I do my job. On to greener pastures, the Chicago White Sox announced that Munetaka Murakami has an assignment this week. At the time of this recording is Monday. I believe that is tonight. So we should expect the comeback of Mooney Murakami, which I'm excited for. I'm sure there's a little bit of tightness down and below the equator for some Sox fans and baseball diehards like myself, worrying that he's not going to be the same player as he was prior to his hamstring injury. But I'm sure he's fine. The team looks great without him. I'm sure the momentum the team has carried from him going down with the injury is going to just up him even more. It's going to be very cool to see. Also, I wanted to touch on the White Sox All-Star snubs. Obviously, Miguel Vargas got into the All-Star game, and it was a very emotional thing. They posted it everywhere on the White Sox social medias. If you want to go check it out, it's very cool to see because Vargas mentioned how really wasn't having fun playing baseball. But I'm not an All-Star snub guy. So me mentioning this is just because I do think Colson Montgomery, Davis Martin kind of got snubbed. They should probably have gotten in. But also, in the grand scheme of things, the All-Star game doesn't mean anything anymore. It means absolutely nothing. And I typically don't care who makes it, who does it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. It's not like, oh, well, the winner is going to host they'll have home field advantage of the World Series. It doesn't mean anything anymore. The All-Star game for any sport doesn't mean anything anymore. It means absolutely nothing. It's just a place where you could go and see the stars of the league in one spot at one time. So it's cool for the kids. As always, everything is for the kids. Talked to producer Matt about this before we recorded. The Derby, I could taste it on the tip of my tongue that it's going to be what is now the MNBA dunk contest, where no one joins it, and it's just all guys you don't know who they are. Sure, Junior Caminero is joining it. Sure, Bryce Harper's mentioned he just needs somebody to throw to him. But pretty soon I feel like people are going to be like, I don't want to jeopardize the second half of the season because I mean a lot to my team because I'm a power hitter. I love the Home Run Derby. It's the best event in sports for any all-star event. It's better than anything the MNBA has to offer. It's better than the Pro Bowl. You know how easy it is to be better than the Pro Bowl? Real easy. I could go in the backyard with my dog. It's probably better than the Pro Bowl. But I also wanted to touch on a good guy of mine, Hunter Goodman. We're doing just fine. We're doing just fine on that future prop of him to lead the league in home runs. We're doing just fine. Sure, Junior's right on his tail, but it's not like Hunter is too far behind from Schwarber. I don't remember the number he's at, but because I'm so locked in on Hunter Goodman to just get me one. I just need one for my preseason home run prop at 27.5. Did not think I would be sitting in a rocking chair for that bet, especially July 6th, where I just need one to cash the whole season-long prop. I wish I laddered it like I did with Vinny Pasquantino because those props are dead. Folks, that is all I have for you this week. Colby Marcio, Colby M. Betts, wherever you need to find me. Have a better day.
There's the latest from Colby Marcio. We do have a double header on the schedule for today. The Brewers and the Cardinals will play a double dip. Mackenzie, the numbers this year on double headers, a loser of game number 1 is 5-3 in game number 2, 6-2 on the run line in game number 2. And those game number 2s are actually 6-2 to the over this year. So over, maybe game number 2 tonight. We'll see. Jacob Mizrowski scheduled to go in game number 1.
I could see. I still believe in the bounce back. You take a little. You don't want to throw your best pitcher out there if you already got a win. So maybe take a little step back and allow more runs in the next game.
Yeah, we'll see who loses the first game and assess whether we have a play on game 2 for the doubleheader today. All right, be sure to follow us across your social media channels on Twitter at @better_day. Follow our YouTube page as well as we get ready for football season. We will have more video content. The Better Day app is coming for Better Day Insider and Premium members. We will have announcements on our tiers as well, and new contributors coming to betterday.com, so you don't want to miss that. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
Another game day.
But while he's glued to the TV, I'm winning my own way with Mistplay.
Let's go!
Mistplay rewards me just for playing free mobile games. I earn points and swap them for gift cards to Amazon, Uber Eats, and Sephora.
Yeah! We won!
And I just redeemed a Target gift card. Woo! Download Mistplay today and turn your downtime into rewards.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.